Ladies and gentlemen, I just wanted to take this chance, take this risk to go live and say thank you and I love you. And you are awesome. So if you'd care to join me in a August 5th, 2020 beer or beverage, please go right ahead if you are an adult. And this is an Asteroid Fight Club meeting, and only adults are allowed. Yo, cheers, my friends. Thank you, Asteroid Fight Club, for being so awesome. There are 2 points I would like to make. One, Earth is like a high school, dude. And two, 2020 is weird and filled with surprises. Earth is like a big high school, man. Although technically right now, the high school is sort of locked down, and it sort of isn't. But I wanted to say thank you, and I love you, and I'm proud of you. I don't know if I'm going to live to see tomorrow. I don't know if you're going to live to see tomorrow. I don't know who's going to survive. Today, this month, or the rest of 2020. And so if I go today, thank y'all for being awesome and letting me be me. So yeah, Earth's like a big high school. And so we've all been in the same high school. I don't know how old you are. I'm going to assume at this point you're older than 18. So I'm 48. That math is easy. I've been here as an adult on planet Earth high school for 30 years, man. And so 2020 is really weird. But it is kind of like it's a big high school, but we're separated by giant classrooms. And so here in 2020, the team project is kind of like, what are we going to do now and in 2030? And so everybody on Earth is in a classroom or being homeschooled. And so it is like our job this year in 2020 to figure out what are we going to do for 2030 as like high school Earth. Well, we're halfway through the year and we've already got a plague. And now, for lack of a better term, we have mini tactical H bombs. I believe it's the second mini tactical H bomb we've seen detonated in the last year and a half. You know? And so anytime during the 2 times, if you've been paying attention, we have seen that type of a weapon detonated. That is some scary shit, man. And I imagine that is just the tippy tip of the iceberg of whatever types of weapons $100 trillion, if not more, has been spent on weapons development since the 40s. And so we're now into the Mars in Aries pandemic summer. And consistently, people that control the narratives and not giving the people much to be excited about, much to be happy about, much to be hopeful about, things to look forward to. And so it's almost like in our high school, the education system has become to strip mine us of our hope and our ability to work together as one high school. And so I personally don't know where you are at in this 2020 thing. We are at the pandemic, plague, the H bombs dropping, and now the big nasty hurricanes. On top of major unemployment, and so like the last week, man, the people like either my hackers or the people who are agitated with me or unhappy with me, they have seemed extra unhappy, you know? And anytime that I sit here and I talk to you guys in an official capacity like Planetary Defense Commander, it's always risky, bro. Especially when everyone is always so sensitive in a Mars in Aries, Eris, Pluto, plague summer. You might not be able to read this backward, so I'm going to read it for you. It says, I love you, think positive. And so I had two Air Force dads. And at a very young teenage age, they were teaching me about mutually assured destruction, which is what happens when you get multiple groups with the ability to kill everything. Mutually assured destruction being the inevitable outcome of a war between gangs like that, countries, militaries, corporations, would lead to everyone losing. And that up until now, there has always been an underspoken agreement that everybody losing or everybody dying or everybody having a horrible quality of life is not beneficial. And it's not the way to go. Well, like I said, Earth is like a high school. So we have 2020 is a giant high school Earth project where that like we have to figure out where we want to be in 2030. So our whole class has been given the assignment of where we're going to be in 2030. We've got all year to figure it out, or we did. Now we got like 5 months. And it's like a new version of Brexit, where they just keep pushing it down the line. Like whatever the big choice, whatever the big decision is, we're just going to keep pushing it down the line as far as it can go till the wheels fall off. So it's like Brexit. They just kept pushing it down the line. Like we're going to stick with the old system as long as possible. Moving it. And then had the plague hit. And so I don't know if you noticed, but Brexit has not become as much of a situation. I mean, it is, but it isn't. Since the plague hit. And so now it's almost that same thing where like we're just buying time, pushing it down the line. Buying time, pushing it down the line. And billions of dollars are getting spent on weapons and technology. Trillions even. And so, I was alive during 9/11. I was alive when I watched that building burn down in, was it England? I was alive yesterday when I saw that bomb detonate in Beirut. And I'm alive right now. And I want to say thank you. The grand transition has always been complex. Missed. Technically tricky. A lot of moving parts. A lot of variables. A lot of Murphy's Law. And there's a lot I don't know. But a lot of times it feels like, man, what if there's no master plan and everybody's just greedy and arrogant? So like, this high school year has not been going great. And it may not go great because the overarching driving force isn't some like 1,000-year Luciferian, Baphometian, like Cthulhuian plan, but it was just because of greed and arrogance and technically fear. Because like the simplest, coolest thing is like, I mean, I know you can imagine it. Like, what if we all just stopped fighting? It's that simple. What if Earthlings just stopped waging war on each other? Like, hey, why don't we give it a try for a year? And if that don't work, everyone can go back to lying and hating each other and war and killing and shit. But for 1 year, we could try not fighting with each other, not murdering each other, not hating each other, not going to war with each other. Cheers. Thank you. And I love you. And for like, I don't know, 40 years ish, people have told me that that is impossible. And I know it is not impossible. So yeah, Earth's a big high school, man. It's really that simple. That like everybody's convinced everybody that they're like these giant demons and these devils and these aliens and these interdimensional creatures and all this shit that's like here now. And technically that's kind of true, but it is all manifested inside of us. Individual human beings that are here on earth now and have learned how to walk, talk, chew gum, fry eggs, and shoot basketballs. And so that everyone here is a human being. I know the internet's like, no, they're reptilians. They're 8-foot grays, man. They're giant dinosaurs that have been squished down into human size. They've got glamours. They're actually giant monsters, but they've tricked you. We're all human beings. Every single one of us. Right now, if I don't look super handsome, it's because they got a filter on my face that makes me look much less than super handsome. Don't get me wrong. The odds are seem to be against world peace. Like, I don't even know how many of y'all knew when I think it was 2019 when they detonated that other H bomb. There might have been two others that I would or would not classify. And so now the rate that we are seeing that type of a weapon being used in civilian territories, it's crazy shit, man. And what is hilarious, asterisks, is that like my fellow Americans have been like brainwashed into having a political mind. So that like somehow whatever's caused that explosive had something to do with like our president. Or that like everything in their mind is like filtered through that. Where I would guess that overall situation had started long before the USA was here, bro. Like I'd like to remind you guys that Netanyahu has been in office, I think, since 1999. Putin has been in office, I think, since 1996. And sometimes I get frustrated because by having open classroom, Anybody could show up, you know? And so I've spent a lot of time trying to tell people that I don't know, to think that Trump isn't in at least third place as far as like top leaders, shot callers, big ballers on the planet Earth. I don't know, man. What was it? It went from like USSR to the Soviet Union and Russia. Technically, Putin united them, I think. It may not have been him, but he was around. And that somehow, it would seem to me over the last 20 years, Putin and Netanyahu have been able to control an area that is surrounded by wars, but kept the war from within their country, where their country's united. So that like whatever fight is happening now in the Battle of the Planets is like 1,000 year war, 10,000 year war. I don't even know, man. I can't even. But thank y'all for being so cool. I've been watching the Michael Jordan The Last Dance documentary. It's got like 10 1 hour shows. And he was the most liked, one of the most amazing athletes ever, but just a super cool guy. And then I did the math, and his dad died, and then 5 months later, Kurt Cobain died. And that was like Biggie, Tupac, Lane Staley, I don't know. So what I think could happen is it can either like branch off into like holy crap, either Super World War III or like a version of the Spanish Inquisition, but for technology, those are like the bad options. Or that from the period of like the 80s and the mid 90s to like 93, from like 88 to 93, that same energy that we were going backwards into that shit. From like the, so that we are actually go retrograding, going backwards into the 1994. We're like in 1994 right now, 1995. It'll be like 93. 92, 91. And so better days are ahead of us. We just have to work through all the fucking bullshit that has come along with this thing we know of as life for however long it's been here. We are like working through all the sins of planet Earth right here, right now, together. And I think we're going to make it. I'm going to go have another beer. I'll be right back. Like before I started my YouTube channel, I wrote like, I don't know, like 13, 11-ish feature-length films. Right? And the one thing about a film making and screenwriting is you can write anything you want. Anything can happen. And so I think people underestimate like how many absolute variables and possibilities there are that come along with every step involved in every action of every single day. And that the future is a crapshoot that is made up of all of our thoughts and actions. With a whole lot of divine intervention, I guess. So if you're just joining us, Earth is a big high school. Yeah, that high school has H-bombs. And sure, I imagine there are certain groups who would think they can maintain control of a depopulation scenario. I don't know, man. I disagree. I think Murphy's Law is real. I think karma is real. And I definitely think God is real. And in all of my years on this planet, I've never seen one single individual who would be capable of controlling Earth and our solar system. You know, come to think of it, every single person I'd ever met had the capability to be whiny, bitchy, and make mistakes. And that includes myself. So here I am on the same page I've been on for a long time. Like, man, we got to work it out and come together. Right now, I can't think of a single good reason to kill a bunch of people. Or to let a bunch of people die. I haven't given up on any of y'all. Yay. Thank you. Stay cool. And you know, at the very beginning, because before I started my YouTube channel, I used to just write movies and do video work for a company that would work for lawyers. And then when I started this channel full time, people would be like, well, why don't you get a real job? And I would be like, well, it's all going to fall apart. And I got to help guide everybody through that process. And so, like, here we are. And it is all falling apart. But I believe in the, like, you got to tear down the old shit before you got to build up the cool new shit. And so that is what is happening. And the fact that we are this deep into 2020, cheers. Thank you. And I love you. May God bless us all with a good future. Think positively. And yeah, dude, I'm totally aware shit could go south real bad. And that people could stay all negative all the time if they want to. But what's the point? I don't know. Maybe people feel like the Paul Revere of doom, where like at the very last second, when we see the birds in the air and the missiles coming down, you'll run out in the street and be like, I told y'all we're all gonna die. I told y'all. But then boom. And I guess that would be a great feeling for that person. But you gotta think logically. Maybe like 8 people would be in the street to hear him. You know, back in 2015, back in 2013, 2014, 2015, 2016, I worked with an FBI blast wave expert. True story, bro. And everybody really likes to think that, like, they're all, the elite are united. And I've been like, no, they're not. No. And so the pandemic has only stressed all relationships on Earth. That the pandemic has uniformly complicated and made everyone's relationships harder to deal with. Or, you know, not as simple. For over 5 years, I've been sitting here going, yo, dude, depopulation is not going to work. Maybe working short term. I don't know. Right now, I'd say I've watched maybe 10 different Beirut videos. And from working with a blast wave expert, it is not the explosion that kills people in an event like that. It is the blast wave. Air gets pushed, pressure so fast that like you literally get killed by the air and the pressure. So it's not the shrapnel, it's not the fire. And so I watched a bunch of videos and not a single person knew that like when the explosion was happening, they're like, you better turn, duck, and get the fuck down. And that is like blast wave class number 1. That if you see an explosion that's big in the distance, you got maybe 4 seconds to get behind a wall, get down, turn away. Before the blast wave gets you. So even if you take America out of the equation, you've still got like Canada, the Middle East, Turkey, France, Germany, China, Japan. I don't know, and I guess in Americans' minds, they think that like the American president gets some Harry Potter Deathly Hallows wand, where the American president just waves some wand and it creates a giant shield over us. And that somehow it controls all the other countries. Even though the majority of these countries have been around longer than the United States of America. So like national borders are bullshit. They're like totally made up. And they've been used against people for thousands of years. Crazy. And so I just like to remind everybody again, Earth is a big high school. Earth is like one house. We all live in the house. and that we're all one family. We're all one family in one house. We're having to deal with 10,000 years of sins and mistakes. Now. I don't know how much longer I'm going to be y'all's planetary defense commander. I plan to through August. But if the bad guys take me out, then that means I'm officially fired. Or just no longer in position. But I've been pretty well protected, being able to say that peace is the only real option. Though, as unpopular as it may be, it has still allowed me to talk to you guys almost every day for 20 years or more, saying peace is the only option. And I definitely haven't changed my mind. Because Earth is a big fucking high school. And I highly recommend a truce and a jubilee. I mean, the resources we have to work with are super abundant. There is no lack in our solar system. We're dealing with an overabundance of abundance. So we're now trying to figure out how to share enough to where everyone gets the very basics in life. 200 years after we conquered electricity, 20 years after a digital world, we're here now. And so we watched capitalism crumbling, communism crumbling, socialism crumbling, and everybody's heavily armed and many people are holding grudges. So there was a giant fire in the United Arab Emirates. Dubai, I don't know if it was in Dubai, but I mean, it was not a normal fire. And so to like kick off the Battle of the Planets, the Battle of the Little G Gods, on the 3rd, we had Hurricane Isaias Then on the 4th, we had the Beirut weapon. And on the 5th, we had the United Arab Emirates fire. It's like the worst event calendar ever. And that under no circumstances does it seem like a single man can solve the problem presented in that circumstance. It's like right now, if two groups fired off all their super weapons and everybody died, technically, the NASDAQ would have been at its all-time high. So that would be like Earth's footnote. They got the NASDAQ to an all-time high. After 7,000 years, what did humanity accomplish? Boom! They got the technical digital index up to record highs, bro. And that's what it kind of was. The monolith, which was in 2001, which was first spotted on Mars' moon Phobos, and then we sent a bunch of robots over. So it was like we got we went and picked up the little monolith. And the little monolith was like, oh, you think you like Earth money? Wait till we give you space money. It's digital, like Bitcoin. Though space money seems to make humans really angry and upset and hate each other. Which then leads in some weird, like, Garden of Eden. Like, Earth is Garden of Eden all over again. And that digital phones showed up and were like the apple that humankind bit out of. And that the phones were like, oh, humans are the worst. Everybody around you sucks. And so since we got digital phones, like humanity's almost straight collapsed on itself. So does that mean that digital runs off of human unhappiness? I don't even know, man. I'm 2.5 beers in. It feels like I've dreamed almost every single night of 2020, except for the last 2 nights. I haven't dreamed at all. It's kind of freaking me out, man. Thank you, Dan. Stay cool too, my friend. Which reminds me, it's definitely like Game of Thrones. And although most townspeople believe the kings of the realm, the kings and queens of the realms, are united, yo, bro, I don't think everyone's united. And so, like, one of the main wars we're dealing with has been going on for like 1,000 years. Right? Like, one of the main wars Earth is dealing with now has been going on for over 1,000 years. So, technically, it's part of my job to end that war. No disrespect to anyone involved in it. Technically, my job is to end all wars. Because it's the only way to go. Because Earth is a big fucking high school. And at times you can get in trouble for saying that. Like, hey man, why don't we end all these wars? Manito frigas. Well, the thing about me being toasted today is just that July, it was like I was running on adrenaline the entire month. And shit got really sketchy in 2015. Shit got really sketchy in 2017. Like in 2015, we got real close to World War III. We got real close. And so I remember one of my sayings there was, birds are in the air. And I was always like, or sometimes I'd be driving or I'd be walking. I'd be like, shit. What would it be like if you saw, oh, hey, here come the fucking missiles? And so when I saw that bomb in Beirut, that shit just fucked me up. Like it was acid or something. I've only done acid twice, and they were both over a decade ago. And so, like, I'm... like, and like I said, we've seen 2 birds hit the ground in the last year. So, and for all the people out there, even people I know and respect, I'm very strong in my opinion. And so even a lot of the people I know and respect are like, look, man, they're overinflating the plague count. And look, man, no, they're not. They don't overinflate counts, bro. It's kind of like when the latest stat I saw with the amount of people that died in that blast was 70. There's no way that figure is anything close to accurate. That city has 2.2 million people. I mean, you saw all the cars that were in the street. I mean, there was tons of traffic. I mean, at level, what, 8 blocks maybe? 11? And so, in the whole Thanos, Loki, Ultron aspect of it, I need you guys to know that they don't need to overinflate body counts in 2020. And so the last time I saw it, the last report I saw, it said that there were 70 casualties in that detonation. And you can apply the same shit to the plague. Like, they are undercounting this shit, bro. Why are you guys fighting? And it's such a dangerous topic. So yeah, Earth's like a big high school. It definitely feels like right now the United States of America is a limited liability corporation. That if anything bad happens in the US of A, technically, no one is responsible for it. Or sure, a lot of people will say, hey, let me tell you who you can blame, but no one will accept responsibility. And it was like I spent, I don't know, it's part of being Planetary Defense Commander that, like, the people don't have a representative, man. Whether it be America or the world, at no point in time is there one guy who gets to sit at the table and represent all the people. As far as I know, not on the public stage. And so in America, since February, the American people have had 5 months to figure out, all right, what are we going to need for the next 6 months or year and a half to get through the pandemic plague? And so during the 5 months, we had to work out what we would need. We got hit with like protests and politics. And so America being a big high school, at no point in time did anybody do their homework or their classwork. And that the overall thought process has been like, well, Republicans and Democrats will figure it out. Kind of like everybody arguing about schools. Man, I ain't got kids. Like 40% of the discussion is what to do about schools. Well, that seems like a very micromanagement look at it. Like, what do we do about everybody? Can't just figure out the kids. What are you going to do about the adults too? Like, we need a plan on how to finish out 2020 and how to handle 2021. I don't know if you guys have figured this out about me, but definitely in 2020, I haven't shifted on a lot of my opinions. And then if people offer me their opinion, most of the time they're not going to have the instant evidence that would make me change my opinion. And I guess it is through my empirical knowledge that we've made it work up in this far. So we'll make it work tomorrow. And in God. And Jesus Christ, the Prince of Peace. Like, if I'm going to go crazy, the last few months of 2020, when I talk about people working together, people are going to be like, Mark of the Beast, New World Order. I'll be like, Prince of Peace. Jesus Christ, King of Kings, Prince of Peace. I guess that would make the King of Peace the one who actually brought peace to here on earth. A noble goal, if ever there was one. I'm going to get another beer. Yeah, I'm betting on peace. And I'm saying it's probably the only way to go. From this point, I have no idea how we're going to get there, though. You know what I'm saying? Man. It's always weird being buzzed in daylight. Oh. So I was trying to make a video because it looks like that hurricane that Cranky's been warning about for a month, it would be here towards the end of August, second, third week. It's starting to show up the last 5 or 6 model runs. It looks like it's drawing up the Florida Crystal River hurricane. But like today when I went to make a video on it, show you guys the 5 or 6 different GFS runs that show a hurricane in the Gulf that's giant, my hackers would erase my audio. So I just want to let you guys know, yeah, it looks like we may have that Crystal River hurricane, although it could go to Texas. It could go anywhere in the Gulf in 14 days. And then the Colorado University, they upped their hurricane outlook. It was like we were getting 24 storms named, so we got to go into the Greek alphabet. We were getting 5 major hurricanes. We haven't seen any major hurricanes yet. And I was like, hey, man, you know that storm Cranky's been talking about for a month? Well, looks like it's here, right on schedule. And so last year, I was like, the northeast storm will hit on September 23rd. And then the Crystal River storm will hit on August 11th. And if you count them up, that's an 18-day difference. And so if you go from the 3rd of August or 2nd, when Hurricane Isaias hit the Carolinas, that would put the second storm at the 20th of August, which is the same thing that Cranky was talking about, which is the same thing that the model, the GFS is now semi-confirming. And I do think we do have an atmospheric defense team, but they can only, asterisk, they can only use their tricks so much. And then before, like, before it strengthens, or I don't know, what I'm trying to say is it's going to be a big battle. And though we might get a surprise one or two in between, but we have our next American line following hurricane coming in a couple, like the 20th of August. It's always really weird when I'm trying to warn people about shit like this. And then there are people out there who are like, we do not want you to warn people. And I mean, for fuck's sake, why not? They're going to do some new coronavirus stimulus package. We know that. And so, we need something worked out fast. They let the unemployment benefits expire. And even like giving everybody like $1,000 check just for extra emergency preparedness for 2020. I think that would send a decent message. Man, there's so much cool shit we could do if we were not strapped to a war and deception economy. There was a point yesterday where 3.1 million people had their power out, which was almost 1% of the entire United States. I used to make a lot of videos about, I don't know, back in 2014, they used to talk about they could put up a whole brand new state-of-the-art power grid in the USA in 2 years and have it up for anywhere from 50 billion to 200 billion. Brand new power grid for everybody for 50 billion or 200 billion. And they didn't do it, and it was never that, like, they never thought it was that great of an idea. That's so crazy. Ooh. Thank you. I love you. I feel like a disgrace. I'm 3 beers and 3 sips in. I feel like I'm 3 sheets to the wind. You know? Maybe watching those 10 different angle Beirut videos was not a good idea. But if you watch the one that is like on the ground up next to the building, apparently it was a munitions depot. And so you could just hear bullets exploding. So it was like 20 seconds of bullets exploding. And then the big bomb went off. But if World War III breaks out and everyone dies, technically today that would mean NASDAQ wins. NASDAQ was the winner. So congratulations, NASDAQ. NASDAQ Dragon, yo. It's like all the stock, each stock market is like its own dragon. God does win. And I do think we're going to make it through the better days. But from this perspective, over the last month or two, or all year, rarely does it seem like any group is making a really good decision. Like one group is like, we got an idea. And then that idea is really good. You know? If you're just joining us, thank you. I love you. Earth is a high school. And 2020 just keeps getting weirder. Oh, yeah. From my standpoint, I can like there's certain subjects I talk about. And if I talk about them, let's just say I get punished. And so American volcanoes, you know, American volcanoes has never been so it's a sensitive subject. It's like oil, American volcanoes. It's been a week since I was live. And so I'm not talking about American volcanoes right now. Technically, this video is supposed to just be like, hey, thank you. Thank y'all. I'm still alive. Paid rent. Paid electricity. Ninjas have not killed me. We have not started World War III. And the more and more you look at it, Earth is just a big fucking high school. No matter what weird fucking mythologies people may believe, that we're all human beings here working it out together. And at some point in time, we all had or have a mother and a father who gave us life. I mean, 7 billion people is a lot of people, bro. And it's weird, I guess, like, cause I was alive when Michael Jordan was in his prime, and like everybody loved him, except for maybe Knicks fans, Laker fans, or Pistons fans. And so Earth is a high school. And who are you? Which group are you in? What are your favorite classes? And am I a good Christian if I have a crush on one of my teachers and she is married? Man, life is crazy. Because I believe the Bible, Jesus said, like, yo, dude, if you lusted a woman, when you get to heaven, I'm cutting your nuts off. Or is that a 10 commandment? Oh, but then you couldn't covet. I don't think I'm coveting anyone. I had this problem. I've probably been drinking too much. But when I went back to college for the second time in like 2008, I forgot if she was my French teacher or my Spanish teacher. But I don't know, she was like 30. I was like, I don't know, 40 then? 38. And she was an ex-Dallas Cowboys cheerleader, and she was really cute and really smart and a good teacher. But she was married. And I had a crush on her. And I was like, oh man, I'm going to hell. Feel so conflicted. What can I do, Jesus? Should I take this lesson with my eyes blindfolded? Oh, her voice is cute too. Fudge! I enjoyed college both times I went. Tutoring time. I think I failed that class. Languages are hard for me. I don't know why. I think I'm okay at English, but I've spent multiple semesters trying to learn French and multiple semesters trying to learn Spanish, and I usually do not do very well. In Spanish, I would definitely go, the whole conjugating the verbs thing always fucked me up. Without a doubt. It's like you can conjugate every verb like 7 different ways. My brain is thinking so fast with all these pictures and shit. I'm trying to figure out which the like 9 different conjugations I gotta use. I don't even know. Anywho. Life is Big High School. It's like Game of Thrones, Justice League of America, Avengers, James Bond. Like it's everything. Like in this moment, we can totally overhaul the entire educational system. Because for the last 100 years, its only purpose was to make us a good employee. Like, do they teach you how to do your taxes? No. Do they teach you how to fix your car? No. Do they teach you shit in history books so you can fight about it in the future? Yes. It was like that whole tearing down of statues things. It was almost like they spent so much time teaching us that much information just so we could get angry about it, 50, 40, 30, 20 years from then. It has always been my belief that the education system has pretty much been there to make us all good employees and to even get a higher job. Most of the time, you had to get like $100,000, $200,000 education just to get a job. That is crazy, dude. That is fucking nuts. And we're worried about teaching you how to be cool, teaching you how to be funny, teaching you how to be good. They're like, here's geometry and social studies. And so, yeah, like now we're going to have to figure out what our education system is going to be. It's midnight there. Happy midnight. I don't know if you guys have ever seen the movie Young Guns, but now I feel like I'm in the spirit world. Telling you that Beirut explosion really fucked me up. I haven't been this fucked up since that building burned down in England. And that is over the pond. That in a weird way, my own country, as a planetary defense commander, has been gearing up for absolute all-out war in November. And that both sides are like into by any means necessary. And I'm like, what the fuck, bro? So it's like, we can't do anything until after the election. And then after the election, whoever wins has to figure out how to solve all these motherfucking problems. And until then, everybody's going to tear everybody to shreds until November 3rd. And so until November 3rd, it's just going to be like giant verbal spells cast at each other on the internets where they're calling each other pedophiles and Nazis. Where like everybody's painting everybody pedophiles and Nazis. During a plague. Crazy. And then no matter what happens in November, 50% of the people are going to feel like they have been robbed. That like the devil won. Because for so long, so many people have put like all their emotions and energy and belief into political guy A or political guy B or political team A or political team B. Even though for 8 years it's pretty much been the thing at Asteroid Fight Club I said you should not do under no circumstances. But the American dream is still alive in my heart. Prince of Peace, Jesus Christ. Peace on earth, man. Jesus sat everybody down at the tables and gave them fish and wine. He did not burn down a motherfucking subway. He did not walk into a movie theater and shoot a bunch of people. although he did kick over some money changer tables and was soon shortly after crucified. Man, y'all make me chain smoke. I blame it on you. Ha ha. My throat chakra is still stuck. Ooh, Colleen Snow says blame yourself. Okay, great. I blame myself. I blame myself for the shitty state of the world as well. Like, as Planetary Defense Commander, is my Star-Lord New Thor 7. As the T, it has been my job since 7 years old to get Earth to a better place together. That has been my job since I was 7 years old. And right now, things are not going well. And technically, I look back like, what could I have done before? What mistakes did I make along the way? And I definitely think being obsessed with some of the most beautiful women on the planet might have turned out to be a weakness. And I'm not blaming my mama, but she is super beautiful, super smart, super tough, super funny. And the old adage is you end up marrying your mama. Or it was before the digital age. You know? Hey, how's everybody's relationships doing through this? At times, people have accused me of being scared because I spent a lot of time in the foxhole. But it's not that I'm scared, it's just that I recognize, definitely since 2018, people have been going crazy. And so I've been trying to minimize my crazy entanglements even before the plague. Because I feel like I've already got enough people entangled in my life who are like, I hope you die. I hope you fail. I hope you're unhappy. I hope you're poor. I hope you never find love. Like, I got enough of those people already. And so I don't want to add to that until the situation calms down. If you're just joining us, I'm 3.5 beers in. I'm pretty sure I'm drunk. And we're at the phase where I am thanking you. I'm asking you to stay cool. And yes, I am blaming myself. For not figuring out a way to unite the 3 Abrahamic religions: Muslims, Jews, and Christians. No offense to the other sub-religions. And that there could have been a way that I could have figured out how to unite them, but I ended up veering off on a path that was telling jokes and talking about boobs. hand, Jesus is probably going to cut my balls off when I get to heaven? Nah, probably not. Yeah. I don't know. Everybody's got their own personal Jesus. My Jesus is cool. That's another weird thing about Christians. Is they think that they have the copyright on who Jesus is, Jesus Christ is, and they know everything all about him. And so they get mad when you do not recognize that they have a copyright on knowledge of Jesus. Where I'm like, how I view Jesus differently than you, sir. They get upset. And so I recognize that everybody's relationship with Jesus or God or non-God is very personal. And that there's nothing more personal than your relationship with God and the universe. And that my Jesus Christ is cool. You ain't gotta agree. I recognize that like 7 billion people could disagree on that same subject, and it's not going to change what I believe. I'm glad Colleen is here, though, because it is now officially an X-Men party. Cosmic blessings to everyone. Yeah, I'm pretty sure Jesus is a rock star too. And man, that H-bomb fucked me up. Call it what you will, call it what you want to. And I love you guys. Hey, if it all works out, we'll get to hang out in the future. But everybody definitely seems very sensitive these days. And where like 95% of us agree that the world is not necessarily headed in the greatest place at this exact moment, nobody's searching for solutions. Which brings us back to the original point that like Earth is like a high school. We've had all of 2020 to figure out what we're going to do in 2030. And right now, it is like a giant angry food fight. Except instead of food, people are throwing social media feces at each other. Where that like somehow burn down another man's house is gonna like solve a problem that we have now. And I would guess it is easier for people to be cool in the winter and the fall possibly the spring, that the summer heat ramps up the intensity of all things, gives people shorter tempers. I don't know. I walked 5 miles yesterday in the sun, 92 degrees. I was like, this shit is crazy. You got to be prepared for it. And I am not. So yeah, to me it feels like in the last 10 days we had like American volcanoes, super mega floods in India and China, H-bomb detonations, the Congress being like, plan? We don't need a plan. There are 45 people here with me now. In the middle of 2020, it's like being wide awake, but being super tired. And I'm not scared, but I do not know what is going to happen next. Although I'm pretty sure the Gulf of Mexico is going to get hit with another hurricane in like 14 days, and I would guess Crystal River, Florida, as a Category 3 to Category 5 hurricane. So I think Congress has like one more week before they go on recess. And that there's like a 60% schools have said, hey, we're doing it online. And 40% schools have been like, we're doing it in person. And so you've got like the 31 million unemployed people. And then you've got all the children who are supposed to go back to school and kids. And the parents who are supposed to be working at the same time while taking care of their kids at home. It's a lot. It is totally a lot. And I do not want to misspeak, but it seems like even as much as Americans have grown to hate each other in the last decade, it doesn't come anywhere close to how people in the Middle East have learned to hate each other over the last 1,000 years, 2,000 years, 3,000 years. But remember this, when I did go back to college, one of the things I learned in my religion class was that every religion has to be approved by their government of that time. And that really, at no point in time, is the religion allowed to disagree with the government. Not in a serious way. But yet, religion and government have been like two of the main pillars of civilization for the last 20 years, 2,000 years. Holy crap, am I toasted? I guess. And it just seems like at this point, all of the extraneous discussion is sort of irrelevant. Like whether you like socialism or communism or capitalism or Buddhism or Christianity or Judaism or Allahism, like we have real problems that are here now and that they have to be solved. And that we don't need opinions, we need ideas and good plans. And that somehow, somewhere, we are going to need a leadership breakthrough. And that somehow people of Gen X, the millennials, and under are going to have to figure out how to safely take the reins away from the baby boomers so that we can make it into the future. With no disrespect intended to the baby boomers. It is probably not best to be letting 73-year-old men call the shots on what we're going to do over the next 30 years, 100 years. So yeah, against all odds, just like in a movie, we're gonna need a like Breakfast Club spirit that rises above all the bullshit to inspire everyone to a better way. Wild, right? Crazy. And I love you. I think you're cool. Thank you. And let's do the best we can in the rest of this 2020 Earth is a High School group project. Talk to you guys soon.